Hey, thanks for tuning in to this very special edition of Tim's Vinyl Confessions. I'm Tim Durling with you, coming at you with this particular episode from the lovely Inn at St. Peter's on Prince Edward Island, and this is a very special episode because I'm actually filming this on my honeymoon, and I'm not filming this. My beautiful wife Sarah is behind the camera. She's camera shy, but she's filming this for me, and we just went to Charlottetown today. For those of you that don't know the area, it's the biggest city in Prince Edward Island. It's a very small island in the maritime provinces. And came across, I've read about it online and sought out back alley music in downtown Charlottetown. A little twisty turny to get there, a lot of one-way streets, but I made it there, and I gotta say, I made the biggest vinyl haul I've made in a long, long time. I filled some holes in my collection and just found some cool stuff. So thought I'd do a honeymoon edition on Tim's Vinyl Confessions. Sadly, no honeymoon suite. I would have liked to have found a copy of the singles, but maybe another time. So first up, ACDC, Flick of the Switch. This is an overlooked album. No one ever talks about this one. This came out in 1983. No big well-known songs off this album, but I've always really enjoyed this album, and this is the vinyl version. It's a Canadian version. You can see by the maple leaf up there in the corner on Atlantic Records. Let's see what's inside of here. Very plain white sleeve on this side, and this has a little bit of information about the record itself. Vinyl itself comes in a not a red but a white Atlantic logo, or Flick of the Switch. Next up, the fourth Bryan Adams album, Into the Fire. This is from 1987. This contains the hit single Heat of the Night. I really like this album. It came off the heels of his multi-platinum album Reckless, so it was considered to be a letdown in sales, even though I think it still sold 3 million copies. This is a Canadian edition, A&M Records, and found a copy that was in pretty decent shape. Let's see what's inside of this. Lyrics to all the songs, and on the other side, Bryan and his band, and the record itself. What side does this come out of? Kind of a customized logo for this, for Into the Fire. Next up, a really rare album. I don't even have this album on CD. One you don't see very often. This is the first Great White album from 1984. This is a Canadian edition on EMI Capitol. And like I said, anytime I've tried to find this on Amazon on CD, it's been $40, $50 plus. So I'm going to wait, see if I can find a copy relatively cheap. But I was glad to find the vinyl to this. This actually has a sleeve with it. Lyrics. Some pictures. And this record, if this record is actually quite heavy. If you think of Great White as the Once Bitten Twice Shy sort of bluesy bar band sort of hard rock, this is actually a pretty heavy album. It's on EMI America, so it's got kind of a unique logo. The only other records I have with that EMI America logo would be the first couple of Queensryche records. Next up, this is an album with a weird cover. I'll fold this whole thing out. This is the third Deep Purple album from 1969. It's self-titled, and this is originally it was released on Tetragrammaton Records. This is actually a Canadian Warner Brothers reissue, and the front cover to this album is taken from a painting, a really weird painting called, I think it's called The Garden of Earthly Delights. It's supposed to be like a hell on earth type of scenario, and if I'm not mistaken, there's a Black Sabbath hits album that uses part of this. I think a lot of rock albums have used this part of this painting. It's kind of a bad trip, if you ask me. Inside, there's like a little write-up on each of the songs. There were no hit songs on this album that I know of. It's actually the first time I've seen a Warner Brothers copy of this, so you've got the Burbank palm trees logo for the third Deep Purple album. And another album from that pre-in rock era of Deep Purple, when they were sort of a more psychedelic band. I've seen this before, but I haven't had a copy for myself. This is just a best of Deep Purple. This is a Canadian album distributed by Polydor Records. So on the back, this has Hush, was a big hit single from that era. That's on here. And a creepy looking silhouette of the group. And inside of this, just a white sleeve. And the record itself is the red Polydor logo. Next up, something I already have, but I don't see very often, and this was a relatively inexpensive version of Kiss, the originals. You've heard me talk about this before. It's just the first 3 Kiss albums. First one, self-titled, Hotter Than Hell and Dressed to Kill, in one package. This has never been released on CD before. This does not contain any of the extras that originally came with it, like the booklet, the trading cards, the sticker, and it also doesn't have the sleeves that were made to look like the front and back covers of the records either, but it was relatively cheap, so I picked it up to have a spare copy of the originals. Another thing I bought again, that I've already got, is a copy of Paul Stanley's 1978 solo album, which mine is actually warped, so I've been looking to replace it. This is really glossy, it's in really good shape. This is a Canadian edition. It doesn't come with the poster that would have come with any of these originally. Record seems to be in really good shape. Actually, this is a US edition. Yeah, record's in really, really good shape. Now, I thought, and maybe this is a reissue, I thought that the Kiss solo albums all had each of their faces on here, but this doesn't. It just has the Casablanca logo. Next up, a band that's going to be playing Casino & B in Moncton on the 27th of August, Loverboy. This is their first album from 1980, featuring The Kid Is Hot Tonight and Turn Me Loose, the first 2 big songs. This is a Canadian edition, a lot of red happening here on Columbia Records, and typical Columbia logo on the label itself. One brand new piece of vinyl I got fills in a hole in my collection. Metallica and Justice for All. This is their own version on Blackened recordings. I'm okay with that. This is a double record set because the songs on here are so long. I'm glad to have Justice on record. Next up, a band that you don't see vinyl from very, very often. This is about to get evil here, folks. Motley Crue, Shout at the Devil. Canadian edition of, this is a US edition of Shout at the Devil, not embossed, but it's a shiny pentagram there. Like I said, pretty evil. This is not what the CD and the cassette looked like. Back cover. This gatefold. Scary looking dudes right here. Even scarier in real life, I'm sure. And inner sleeve, again, we got another pentagram. And here are the credits and lyrics. And red Electra logo, which would have been normal at the time for Motley Crue, Shout at the Devil. Next up, I love this album cover. This is Nazareth, No Mean City. This is a Canadian edition. It's actually a reissue. It's not the original, A&M catalog number. This is an A&M recording, of course. And this has May the Sun Shine, great song. I think it was a UK hit. No Mean City Parts 1 and 2. Those are kind of the songs I'm most familiar with on this album. Actually, as I filmed this was self-produced. It was produced by the guitar player Manny Charlton. Manny's actually celebrating a birthday today on the day of filming, which is July 25th. Says the back cover. I was really kind of surprised. I think originally this was a gatefold, so you could see this all at once. This artwork was done by a guy named Rodney Matthews. When you were a kid, if you ever read The Secret of Nim, I do believe he designed that artwork. But yeah, this is a reissue, so it's not a gatefold. Plain A&M sleeve, and of the time, 1979, that would have been the A&M label. And one more, this is another one that fills in a collection, or fills in a hole in my collection. Whitesnake, Slide It In. This is on Geffen Records. It's a Canadian version. And I've never had this on vinyl before, so glad to find that one. And inside, We have sleeve with lyrics on both sides and a little bit of credits. The record itself is a white Geffen Records logo. So very successful haul from Back Alley Music in Charlottetown, PEI. Thanks for watching this very special edition of Tim's Vinyl Confessions.